So, you know how we talk about how strikes are contagious? Boom. West Virginia teacher strike ended, and guess what? The teachers won. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So let's look into this. West Virginia's teachers end strike after opposed charter school bill was killed. Shut up. Shut up. I don't want to hear from you. Shut the fuck up. Ads. Public school teachers in West Virginia returned to school Thursday after an education bill they opposed was effectively killed in the state house. Teachers in 54 of the state's 55 counties walked out Tuesday over SB 451. What would SB 451 would have done? It would have used public funding to introduce charter schools to the state and provide private school tuition to some households. So here's what bills like that do, essentially. Bills like that, you sometimes see these bills pop up in different communities. I remember when I was a kid, one of them popped up in my community. And I'll go into that later. But essentially what they do is they're like, oh, well, if you send your kid to a private school, you shouldn't have to pay taxes for the public school because your kid's not using that. So instead, you're going to be able to opt out and put those funds towards private school. Now, what this does is it gets away from the idea of education as a public good, and it kind of allows, and it benefits people that generally have more means. So that's what bills like this do. They're not good bills. They're not for choice. They're for dismantling public education. That's what they do. It has nothing to do with choice. Those are just the buzzwords they use. Really what it does is it attempts to dismantle public education. So, Lucy, you can sit on my lap if you want. So that was her meow in agreement. She's like, exactly, those bills are bad. All right, so the State House on Tuesday ultimately decided not to take up the bill, effectively killing it for the time being. Teachers were on strike for one more day to ensure the bill would not be considered in the 24-hour period after being killed, West Virginia Education Association President Dale Lee told CNN. Lee said at a press conference that the strike was a united effort. The winners in this, once again, are the children of West Virginia, who are assured of a great public education for all of them, not just a select few. The teachers' union in the state opposed the bill because it would have used public dollars to create charter schools, competitors to public schools, and would have established education savings account. Those accounts would have offered households making less than $150,000 a year the option to apply for help with private school tuition and other education costs. So there you go. But the teachers of the teachers of West Virginia said, no, education is a public good, and we need these resources for public education. Right? Lucy's purring. How about that? So, once again, the lesson here, strikes are contagious. When teachers win, look how happy Lucy is when teachers win. Seriously, she came over. She came over because she heard her name. But look how happy she is. The teachers won, Lucy. She's like, yeah, I wanted some good news, dude. You're going on and on about how, like, people won't let people feed people, and that's freaking terrible. And I'm like, come on, man. Give me something where the humans win something. And it's like, hey, this shipping company, not going to use fossil fuels. They're doing something about climate change. The teachers in West Virginia won. Thank you for wagging your tail right in front of my coffee cup, Lucy. Like I said, total pushover. So keep in mind, Lucy, look up. You have to be, yeah. Strikes are contagious, and they work. Strikes are contagious, and they work. Strikes are contagious, and they work. I used to have this analogy. I used to say strikes are like the common cold in two ways. They're contagious, and they're best with soup. Then I realized that wasn't the greatest analogy because I was going by, whenever I would have protests or strikes in the places I used to live, like Tennessee, Pennsylvania, Indiana. A lot of times those would take place in the wintertime, so it was cold. But then I realized, I'm like, dude, it's not cold everywhere when a strike happens. So I was like, that analogy kind of sucks because people in, like, Arizona or people in, Texas or people in California even, although during our teacher strike, it was actually really rainy. But, you know, maybe there would be another strike where it wouldn't be, and they'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? We don't want soup right now. What the hell, Ron? Like, what do you... So I ditched that analogy. I repeated it right now for a dumb, you know, for no reason. So I used to have that analogy, because, like, I was basing it off of... There was this big protest that happened in Nashville over the winter where people were passing out hot cocoa when I used to live in Nashville. And anyway, so that used to be my analogy until I realized, oh, wait, people live in different climates. Right, Lucy? It was a shitty analogy. So anyway, but strikes, contagious. Boom. All right, good job, West Virginia teachers. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make